I bought the cheapest ADV helmet, which is ECE rated. Question is it okay, or is it just crap? Let's have a look. Well, welcome back to RevsIT. Under the hood here is what I think is the cheapest ADV helmet, ECE rated in the UK. And if I turn it around, you'll see the manufacturer's name is THH Helmets. And of course, because I'm a Kawasaki man, it's a green and silver grey type of colouring. This is, I believe, the TX-13 version. It's not the newest. I think there's a TX-28 out now, which has a more flat front. But this helmet in the UK, I think, is definitely the cheapest ECE rated ADV helmet. Now then, on the back there, you have the ECE R22-05. This is a large version. I usually go for medium. But sometimes medium can be tight, sometimes large can be too loose, but this is sort of in the middle. The sizing of this is sort of, I've got a strange head really, I think. It's in that middle place between the two. Some helmets fit, some don't. This one fits, but because winter's going on, I decided to get the larger size and use, if I grab it, my hood inside, and with this on, this fits really nice and snug. So what's it like? Well, have a look around it. You've got the peak, which is adjustable. You can adjust it up and down. I'll come back to that later. You can of course remove the peak itself if you want to. It has quite a nice large opening for the visor. Nice and easy. There's one, two, so you can open it just a little bit to get some air in under the visor. Not sure if you'll need that on this. Again, something else I'll come back to in just a second. So you can open it up and you can wear a normal pair of goggles if you wanted to instead. The visor does not have pin lock on it. It's got an E4 rating, so again, it's all European compliant. On the side, you just have a pin there. I'm not sure, probably something structural. And THH Racing Division. Okay, didn't know racing helmets had peaks in them. Right, let's go have a look at the vents then. Well, on the front you have two small vents and one large vent. Very unusual look, that. I'm not sure if there's anything else. What does that look like to you? Mention it in the comments what you think that looks like. I can't think. The thing about this is though, you can't close them. Now, to me, it doesn't really matter too much because my GoPros sit in front of this big open vent here with the mesh in the back. But others, you may want to plug that, or maybe that would really put you off. But lots of airflow for ADV riders, I suppose you need that airflow. Or you can just use the goggles. So that's the two front vents. On the top, under the peak, I don't know if you can see it there, there's two vents at the top for airflow inside, and then you got two external outputs at the top there, and two on the back at the bottom as well for ventilation there. So lots of ventilation. Next then, I suppose we should have a look at the underside. So let's open that up. Let's just grab the bag a moment so it don't scratch anything. Now, it has a ratchet lock on it. Some people don't like that, but it's quite a modern thing to have, and it's a really tight fitting, so that's in good order. Again, an E rating on there. And inside, the padding is quite soft, not too thick. And if I look inside, it's quite thin on the inner side, with lots again of perforated padding for ventilation. Again, it's an ADV helmet, so ventilation's a big thing with ADV riders. But padding, of course, is a big thing as well, because you don't want to really be hitting your head on the inside of any of the helmet if you do have a bump. So, but yeah, it's not bad. It's not terrible. It doesn't come with a chin strap, so that's something I will actually want to put in. But again, ADV riding, you don't need a chin strap because you want the ventilation. I keep saying that, don't I? Anyway, let's get on. There's a couple of little cutouts there, just inside, I don't know if you can see that as well, for putting a comm system in, speakers and so on. So, nice big chin on it. And then at the back, now I don't know if you can see this at all, but there's a warning sticker there, and it says MFG date, and then the manufacturing date, the model type, and so on, and then the size. And that's about it, really. Now, what do I think of it? Well, I've tried it on. It fits quite nice, actually. It with the, as I said, with the hood on as well. It fits snugly, but not too tightly, and not too loose. It doesn't wobble about on my head or anything, so that's good. It's quite. It doesn't squeeze the cheeks, but it holds them quite firmly, so that's okay as well. It doesn't feel uncomfortable, so the padding is thick enough, and the look of it's quite good as well. I did notice on the side here, in very small type, Fabrice Christophe is the designer of the actual look of it. Fabrice Christophe is Decals creator for racing cars, amongst whom BMW are one. So yeah, the design of it is by a top designer. I mean the actual graphics design now, not the physical design. Now, down points. Well, yes, for a lot of riders, having that big vent there in the front might be a downside, and it doesn't actually channel the air up to the screen, although you can, as I said, leave the screen a little bit open and not lock it down fully. So you've got that, I suppose, and not having the pin locks are down. The other thing that I found, I'm not sure, because I don't ride ADV, I don't ride much off-road. I wanted to buy this basically for winter use, where you could dip your head to keep the rain a little bit off, or if it's a sunny day, to keep the glare out of the actual visor itself by just dipping your head and using the peak to shade yourself. But even with the, I don't know if you can see that, even with the peak at this rearmost point, at its furthest forward, you looking out from inside, you cannot even see the tip of the peak. Now, looking at other ADV helmets, this peak would usually be down here. So it looks as if it's designed a bit off and not quite in the right place. It looks as if it's too high. Now, you could, I suppose, take the screw out of the top, because it all comes off, as with any other helmet, and extend the slide so that it actually comes down. Now, I would imagine it should be about there in its most forward place. If you're an ADV rider or use ADV helmets, please tell me, because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Perhaps it should be up there, but I would have thought it would be down here, or the peak would be longer, one of the two. What do you think? Apart from that, really, even though it doesn't have the pin lock, even though it doesn't have a chin valance, as it were, the little cloth underneath to keep the wind out, and even though it doesn't have the ability to turn that actual vent off, I think for the price, for an ECE rated helmet, this is pretty good value. Now, hear me out here before you say anything, because there are many people who find it extremely difficult at the moment to afford to get to work. So they use motorcycles, and motorcycle helmets, even the less expensive one, the DOT rated ones, you're talking about £80 to £100. It's a lot of money to some people. May not seem much to you, but it's a lot of money to some people. This helmet on the market in the UK at the moment is £39, ECE rated. and I've checked and it isn't a fake sticker on the back, it is actually ECE rated. So you could buy a better quality helmet, a safer helmet, not maybe up to the standard of RI or one of the big top names, but something that's substantial enough to help you in the case of an accident, keep you fairly dry and comfortable riding back and forth to work or wherever, and not, you know, break your budget doing so for those who are on very low earnings. So yeah, I think for the price, it's not an RI, it's not one of the top name ADV helmets, but for what you get and, well, the safety that comes with having an ECE rated helmet, for £40, I think it's pretty good. What do you think?